Elementor Editor v4 keeps getting better with each new release. In today's video, we'll take a look at what you can expect with the release of Elementor version 3.30 beta. One of the features is something that has been highly requested, and that is the user-defined class names. So let's take a look. So here we are on the Elementor Edit page. First, I'll go ahead and create a new box container layout using the new atomic elements. Because I don't have anything highlighted in the structure panel, I can go ahead and just click on the container element that I want, so the flexbox or the div, and it will add it as a parent element. So let's click on the flexbox. It adds it as a parent element and it gets highlighted. So now that it's highlighted, if I want to add a child element, all I have to do is click on the plus icon again and choose my next element. In this case, I'll just add another flexbox. So the first flexbox is the parent. The second one is the child boxed element. Then within the inner element, I'll click on the plus icon and I'll add some other elements like the heading and maybe a paragraph element. So we have the 4 elements added. Now I can go ahead and add the class names and see if they get reflected on the front end. So I'll come to the first element, which is the parent flexbox. Then I'll go under the general HTML tag. I like to change it to a section. Then under the style tab, I can add some class names. I already defined some class names, so I'll just add one of them. So the first one is the section class. Then the second one is called the wrapper class. So wrapper. I can just click enter and it will add it. Then we can add some class names to the other ones, like the heading. I can give it a class name of maybe h2-heading. The paragraph, I'll give it a class name of description. Notice that you cannot add a space into it. So let's click on delete to remove the space and then enter. So we have our elements set up. Let me go ahead and publish it. And we'll preview it on the front end. And as you can see, if I inspect it, we have our elements. So the section, it has a class name of section. Then the inner div has a class name of wrapper, along with some of the class names that Elementor adds by default. The h2 has a class name of h2-heading. The p has a class name of description, and so on. So the class names are now reflected as the ones that were added on the backend. In the initial phase, the class names were auto-generated. You had a a random string, but now it is, as you define it in your editor, it gets defined on the front end. The next improvement is that we now have smart unit selectors and custom units. Let's see an example. So here we are back on the Elementor Edit page. Let's say I want to change the typography styles for my heading element. So I have the heading element highlighted. The class name is also highlighted. I'll go over to the typography accordion and I'll choose the font size. Usually we want our font sizes to be in realms. So I'll just go ahead and start typing. So I'll say 4. And previously we had to now go over to the unit, click on that before we choose our unit like rem. And that was a long thing. But now let's go back to pixels and let me clear out the input. We can simply just start typing 4 and then I'll just type R and it gives me 4 rem. If I clear out the input and I say maybe I want it to be in M's instead, so I'll say 2 and then type E. That gives me 2M. If I want it to be in the custom unit, which was the other thing that was added, all I have to do is clear out the input and then I just type C to go to custom unit and it automatically opens custom unit. Otherwise, you can just click on the unit sign and click on the pencil icon. It's the same thing. You get to the input and you can start typing all of your variables. I tend to use variables from Core Framework. So all I have to just do is type my variables like var text M becomes a small text, text L larger, 2XL becomes bigger, and so on. All of this is auto-generated from Core Framework, and Core Framework is free, so you can go ahead and download it. It comes with some variables for your spacing, for your typography, and so on. So that's it. We have our custom units or our smart unit, anyhow you want to do it. It gives you full control now. The only limitation is that it is not yet available for your colors. So if I go to my color and I click on it, all we have is still the same units of hex, RGB, and HSL. You don't have the option to add in your own custom units. So hopefully that will be added in some future version. So that's it. The next improvement that was added is the context-aware panels. Here we have the heading element highlighted. If you go over to the element settings, the style tab is active, the class name h2-heading is active, and the typography accordion is expanded. Let's now go ahead and click on another element and then click back and see what happens. So if I click on maybe the flex box, I click on the general tab, then I go back to my heading element, you'd see that the style tab is still open, the class name is still highlighted, and the typography is still open. If I go back to my flex box, that one is set to the general tab because that was what I clicked on as the last open state. So basically, it remembers the state of your element settings. So that's cool because previously you could have started styling on a class name, then you had gone out and you come back and it automatically have gone back to the local, and then you end up styling the wrong element. When you were expecting to style the class name, you'll be styling on the local class. So that was one of the confusions that was happening previously, but now that has been fixed. So whatever you had open previously, if I click away and I click back, that is the same thing that will be highlighted when we come back. The next feature that was added is that we now have display none for our responsive settings, as well as a CSS ID support. So here we are back on the Elementor edit page. I have the paragraph element highlighted and I've activated the description class. So if I want to perform some responsive settings, let's say we want to hide an element on the mobile and tablet, but want to show it on desktop, all I have to do is go over to my tablet view. Then under layout, I'll simply add the display as none. So now on tablet, it goes down the cascade. So tablet and mobile, it will be hidden. But when I go back to the desktop, the element will be showing up as normal. The other thing that was added is the ability to add CSS IDs. So if I go over to my general tab, you can now see that we have an option for ID. So when I add the ID, let's say test ID, and I publish it, we can go over to the front end and we'll see our element. If I inspect it, it gets the ID of test-ID. So everything is working as expected. The next really cool feature that was added are popovers and group level indicators for our styles. So let's go ahead and see how useful it is. So back on the Elementor edit page, I have the heading element highlighted and I've given it two class names. One is class-3 and the other is h2-heading. On the h2-heading, I give it a font size of 3 rem. Then on the class-3, let's say I want to now change the font size. Let's go ahead and put a font size of maybe 40 pixels. So now we have 40 pixels, and notice that the 40 pixels was overwriting the initial value that we added. So let's go ahead and go back to the h2 heading and try to change it. So let's say this time I put something like 6 rem. Notice that nothing changes in the element, and that can lead to confusion when there are multiple classes trying to style the same thing and we are not seeing any difference. But thankfully, Elementor have added a new indicator to tell you exactly what is happening. So if we head over to the right side, just after the label, you see a dot. That dot indicates exactly what is happening. It has 4 colors. The first color is a pink color to tell you that it is a local class applied. Let me show you an example. So I'll go to the local, and the same font size, I'm just going to increase it. So I'll say something like 50. Because the local class always overrides the rest, that's why it overrode the other classes. But what happens, the color now is a pink color. So pink color means that it is styled on the local class. Let me go ahead and get rid of it. The gray color means that it is inherited from somewhere else. So that means you have applied the style somewhere else, but it is inherited. Then, if you come over to the class, you see the green color. The green color indicates that the style that was applied on a class level. And finally, we have the orange color. The orange color reflects that there's a conflict. That means, although you have added a style here, it is being overwritten by something else. And that's where the indicator of the popover comes up. So if I now go ahead and click on that icon, it gives me some more indication to tell me exactly where the classes are and which one is overwriting the other. So you can see we have the H2- heading is lower in the priority. And that's mainly because I created the class -3 as a newer class name. So that becomes higher in the specificity because it is below in the style sheet. If I go back to the local class and add a style, so let's say this time I say 50, and I click on that icon again for my style origin, you see that it now tells us that the local class is overwriting the global class. And then if we go back to our class 3, you now see that there's an orange sign to tell you that, oh no, no longer working. It is being overwritten, or there's a conflict somewhere else. The other thing you will notice when I click on the popover is that there's also an indication of what breakpoint. So is it on the desktop breakpoint? Is it on the tablet breakpoint or the mobile breakpoint? So let's go over to mobile and we'll click on the font size. And this time I'll say maybe 30. And now if I click on the green icon, you can see that the mobile is overwriting the local because the mobile is having a higher specificity due to the media query and is being added at the bottom of all of the elements. That's why the mobile is overwriting the desktop. I go back and I click on the icon again. This time it's only going to show for that breakpoint, which is the desktop. If I go to mobile, that is where I added the styles. So that is now overwriting the desktop version. It's showing that the mobile is overwriting the desktop. And it only shows the first 2 conflicts. It's not showing all of the conflicts, just the top 2. That's what it's going to show. Or maybe it can change in the future, but for now, that is what it is showing. The next useful feature is the ability to reset our options. So let's see how we can do that. So here we are back on the editor. I have this font size active. If I want to clear it, maybe I changed the unit as well, and everything has been changed, and I just want to reset it back to the original state. All I have to do is hover, and you see an icon that is like a brush icon. If I click on it, that clears out everything and resets it back to the default. If I go back to the desktop, I do the same thing, hover, and I clear it. It resets it back to the inherited state. So that's why it has the gray icon now, that is the inherited state. It removes everything that I've added previously and just returns back to the default state. Next, let's look at a new element which was added, and that is the YouTube element. Under the atomic elements, you'll notice that we now have one element for the YouTube. So let me click on that, and we get our YouTube element. It has a couple of options. The first is the YouTube URL. Let me go ahead and check my channel, and I'll get the shareable URL. Let me copy that. Come back to my edit page, and then I'll paste the URL there. And we get the video being loaded successfully. The next thing you can add is a start time. The start time is in seconds. So let's say you want to start at the 10-minute mark. That will be 600 seconds. I'll type 600. And when I choose to play the YouTube video, it will start from the 10 minutes mark. So let me go ahead and publish it. And we'll preview on the front end. If I press the play, you'll notice that it started from the 10 minute mark. Then the other things you can do is that you can add an end time. You can choose if you want it to autoplay. Some people like to autoplay the video. Maybe it's a background video and you want to autoplay it. Then you can choose to autoplay. You can choose to mute, because most times if you autoplay a video, then you have to make it mute. Otherwise, it will not work. You can make it to loop so that when it gets to the end, it starts again from the beginning. You can choose to make it lazy load. You can choose to turn on the captions and so on. So there are several features that you can add to your YouTube elements, and you can style it. It has the same styling options like your other atomic elements, unlike the version 3 elements for our video. That also gives us the option to choose the YouTube source, but the styling and everything was a little bit clunky. So we have styles in the style tab, you have styles in the advanced tab, and so on. So it was a bit disorganized. But with the new elements, the YouTube elements, everything that has to do with your HTML is under the general tab. Everything that has to do with your styling goes under the style tab. And you can add class names, you can style it on the local class, and so on. Everything is in your court. You can do whatever you want. The other useful features that were added include the aspect ratio, which is good for your images. You have the text columns, which is good for your paragraph texts. Then you have the anchor offset, which helps you to reposition the anchor so that it doesn't get hidden underneath your sticky headers. Let's look at a few of them. So here we have the image element selected is the atomic image. Then I'll just go under the size and show more options. And you can see aspect ratio. You can choose different aspect ratio, or you can even add your custom one. If you want a custom aspect ratio of maybe 7:16, it will add it the way you want. But let me just go back to auto. And you can go ahead and clear it if you don't want to add any style. You have the object fit as well. You can change it to cover, to contain, and any other one that you want. For your text, you can go ahead and go under the style tab, under typography, more options, and you can see things like the letter spacing, word spacing, but you now see columns. So let's say I want it to be 2 columns, and it breaks it basically into 2 columns. Then you have your anchor offset as well, and so much more that are coming along. The last feature we'll look at is the classes manager. They've added some more control to it. So now the administrators can add, remove, or rename classes, whereas the editors and below, they can only use those classes. They cannot create new classes. Let's look at an example. So here we are back on our edit page. And for example, I've created this hero class with so many other classes like the hero inner. As an administrator, I can go ahead and rename them. So I have my hero. If I just click on it, you can see the name is highlighted, and I can change the name to maybe hero-inner with an S. And the name has been renamed. If I click on the class manager, I can access the class manager, save and continue. It will give me the description. You can choose to say you don't want it to show again, but let me just go ahead and say got it. Over here, you can rearrange the classes. The way you arrange the classes is how the specificity will go. So you can rearrange them to give some classes more specificity over the other. You can go ahead and edit, you can delete, and so on. So that is it if you are an administrator. Now let's go ahead and look at the same page as an editor. I'm using ASE, which can allow me to use the same user, but then change my user role. So let me change my user role to editor. So now I'm viewing the page as an editor. I can go ahead and refresh this page. And now watch what happens when I try to do the same thing with the class names. So I'll go to the hero, and you can see there's already a warning that says, with your current role, you can use existing classes, but can't modify them. So I can't rename them. If I double click, nothing happens. If I try to go to the class manager, it doesn't exist, and so on. I cannot even create a new class. So let's say I try to type Josh. It tells me, sorry, nothing matched Josh, and you cannot create a new one, basically. So this is the new improvement that has been added. So those are just a few features that were added. Let me know which one you like the most. And if you find any bugs or any kind of feature requests, please, I'll leave a link in the description. You can go ahead and submit your bug reports, submit your feature requests. If you have the ones that are specific to the editor v4, I'll leave a link to those. The ones that are general, I'll leave a link to those as well. Everything will be in the comments and in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.